everyone. My name is Renee, and welcome to the Nest. Today, our conversation focuses on wellness and what that journey might look like. What are the challenges? What are the decisions that have to be made? How do you even know what a journey is if you're on it? And as a wellness coach, it is my privilege to walk alongside individuals courageous enough to take life by the horn. To say, I'm going to do something that I've needed to do for a long time. I don't really know what that is. But whatever it is, I know that my soul is pulling me in a transformative way. And so today I have one of those brave souls, considered to be a warrior goddess. She is a mother, and I think she's an entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrea Parker. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey girl, hey.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited that I'm a warrior entrepreneur. That's
Don't,
exciting.
do you believe that?
I do. I do.
It's good hearing it, I guess.
Yes, maybe a year ago or so, no.
Hmm. This is interesting. So this is part of this conversation. At first, just let me say thank you again for just being transparent. Well, first of all, taking the opportunity to share your any portion of the journey that you would share with us. But that requires being transparent and to be
Mhm.
vulnerable. And I just want to say thank you. So I want to start out by discussing the definition of journey and how does that translate to your life?
I think that journey is, we think about a trip, think about going from one place to another.
Mhm.
But that's why we don't call it a trip through life. It's a journey because there are so many things that you could not have predicted, you could not have expected, anticipated.
Mhm.
There are so many things that come up. Not all of them are bad, or less favorable or less of what we want. The journey is just experiencing this life and being aware that you are experiencing this life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, how does that apply to how you got to the point that you discovered I'm on this journey?
So I think up until you realize that you're on this journey, life is just kind of happening to you. Stuff you're just going through, you wake up every day and it's time to make the donuts. You do whatever it is that you do in your routine, and you're just kind of existing. And then life happens, things happen, situations occur, and you find yourself at a crossroads, so to speak, um, a proverbial crossroads.
Mhm.
And you know what you've been used to doing, and you could do that, but you feel very strongly about, I got to do something completely different. And once you have made that choice to do things completely different, and even if consciously you're not saying completely different, I just want to change this part. Um, everything changes. Everything changes. It's like the journey takes over, so to speak, and you got to buckle up and enjoy the ride.
So, from that point of view, what brought you to the point that you needed maybe some support with identifying these sudden happenings or these sudden mishaps?
Once I made the decision to um, divorce and move my family away and start, it sounds so crazy. Hearing myself say it doesn't sound rational, logical, nothing. But at the time, I just really, I didn't know which way to go, what to do, how to do it, who to talk to. I didn't know anything. I just felt like this is the right next step. But in taking those steps that were unsure, but slowly feeling better than what had been, um, I was falling apart.
Mm.
Up until the decision to divorce, I had been keeping it together. You know, I saw the other day I was in a consignment shop and I saw the little, I forgot what they're called, but the little Russian dolls that have the doll inside the doll inside the doll.
Yes.
On the outside, I was very much put together and holding it all together and keeping it all tight and everything. And then once I made that step to change the path that I had been on, it's like I opened up and I discovered, oh, there's a whole nother me. And I don't know what to do with that. I don't really know who she is. Why is she always crying? Because we don't cry. Was too strong for my own good. And it's, I can look back and see how that next layer was even stronger. Um, but to the strong me, she was weaker because she cried all the time. But I needed help pulling back all the layers. I mean, granted, you could do it by yourself.
Absolutely.
You could absolutely do it by yourself. However, there were, oh, I'm gonna try not to cry. There were there were so many times that I just didn't, I needed somebody to talk me off the ledge. There was nothing rational going on in my head. There was nothing that I could see in front of me that seemed like it was going to be beneficial. It felt like everything and everybody was coming up against me. And I didn't know how to fight in that. I didn't know how to be in that. I didn't know how to live every day, like constantly battling stuff. And I needed the support. So I'm grateful. I don't even
Wow.
know if I answered your question.
To the point that there are times when God gives us all the capacity to make it through.
Hmm.
He also gives us the capacity of
Hmm.
of joining together for whatever amount of time that we need
Hmm.
to get to the next step.
So when I moved back to Virginia, um, you reached out and wanted to help me with my classroom. And when I went to go pick up the materials, first of all, I was shocked. 3,000, like, okay, I'm not even sure if we've ever really had a conversation. I can't remember now, but I feel like you reached out to me before, but I was in the midst and there was no way. I was so leery and skeptical of anybody that wanted to reach out. Why you want to know why you checking on me? I had so many defenses up, and I probably never would have connected if you had not felt led to get things for the classroom, for my classroom.
You decided to request
Mm-hmm.
help for your classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And we were
Which I've never
Facebook
done
friends
before.
on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that, it's not like we're
Right.
friends, but
Mm-hmm.
so I saw it. I'm like, oh, hey, that's so
Mhm.
sweet. But the beautiful thing about this is God knows what the outcome would be. And just because you did what you needed to do and I did what I thought I needed to do, it brought us
Together.
You're right. I don't think we've ever had a 15-minute conversation in our entire lives.
No.
Yeah.
Not that I can remember.
So tell me what happened on our first encounter.
When we sat down and talked, one, I'm not really a closed off kind of person. I'm definitely more open and ready to share, right? But I can be very closed off when I feel um someone isn't genuine, when I feel like there's manipulation, if I feel like there is judgment. Like you got one time to be to be slick, like that real subtle slick, because I'm gonna pick it up and it's over. Like I'm done. Thank you. No, thank you. And we sat down and we just started talking. And hours went by. And I was like, oh my God, I've been here all day. What the world? And there was just so much ease and um ease and more ease, and it felt good and it felt comfortable. And you would say little things that I didn't like. Maybe not directly on the first, but there had to have been enough of checking me to that would cause me to think in a different way. And when I left there, I remember just kind of thinking like, hmm, that's different. That was different. I wonder what that's about. I would never have been able to anticipate a whole working relationship. None of that. Never.
Absolutely. Me either. By the way, how did the classroom turn out?
That classroom was amazing. Yeah, I've never had a theme before. Like I've never had a color scheme or anything before, and it was all black and white, and it was so pretty.
Yeah, it's amazing. Things that we think we're doing for one reason that God is using. And whether people call it God, the universe, the divine, it doesn't matter. It's using to bring you to the point that you requested. And it has nothing to do with how you think it should look.
Right.
Because it doesn't look like anything that you would ever be able to imagine. So, have you experienced how the heck did that just happen along this journey?
It's all been, how the heck did that just happen? It's all been like that.
Like God, you said.
Every part of it. And like calling my children by their names and not uh, the girl, the big girl, the little girl, the boy, the little boy, and actually calling them by their names allowed me to see them, recognize them as people, as sweet souls, and then drew me closer to them.
As a mother,
Yeah,
now let's stop here though, because to some people, that might sound like, well, duh, that's what you're supposed to
yeah.
do. It took work just to get to that point. Something that may seem very duh to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're remembering what you said. I was doing what I needed to do in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
to put on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever I did not know then, it's starting to come up now.
So the um I understood how to be a mother.
Mm-hmm.
I understood how to change your clothes, change your diaper, fix your food, burp you. I understood getting you into school, helping you with schoolwork. Um, I understood that. What I did not understand was you want to spend time with me? Oh my gosh, it keeps talking to me. God, you never leave me alone. You don't have anything else to do? No, mom, I'm like really a kid. All I do is whatever you allow. And I'm like, oh my God. I did not understand why people took their children on vacation. For me, that seemed like a waste of your time and money. Why would you do that? They ruin everything. They never let you eat. They always have to poop at anytime you go anywhere. They have to use the bathroom as soon as you sit down, as soon as your food comes and you're getting ready to put that first hot bite in your mouth. I'm gonna pee. It never stopped. I wasn't prepared for how much they needed outside of food, clothing, and shelter.
Response.
Right, right. I also didn't understand like sibling stuff because my siblings were much older and I kind of grew up an only child, so I didn't understand all the noise. Why are you making so much noise? I had rejected them, so to speak. One, I didn't know that it was even important to establish or to try to get back. So having children threw me for a loop.
When did the epiphanies of what you're saying now begin to happen?
So after I started working with you, um, we did a divine prescription, and the prescription was love.
Oh, I remember your response. Like, I remember that you were like, ew.
Yes, I was so put off by that. I was like, how dare you?
And you chose it. Oh my God, you know, I forgot about it.
And so I was to focus on love for 3 months. I saw love in the details, like one day I was at work And I was pretty sure that I was about to take off my badge and tell them what they could do with this job. And I made it through the day, but there was no way I was going back. Like, no, this is not working for me. And I was sitting there at my desk at the end of the day, preparing for a sub for the next day. And I thought, I don't even want to go. I had a training to go to. And I remember your whole thing about perspective, which it took so long to be able to see another perspective other than the spiraling pit of despair that I could only see. I was like, well, at least I don't have to come here tomorrow. I may not want to do this training. I don't want to do any of that, but at least I don't have to come here. By the time I left the training the next day, it didn't even take until all the way to the end of the day. It was really like when I got up, I was so grateful for God's love because they signed me up for that. And I didn't have a choice. I didn't have nothing. So I didn't pick the times or anything, but it fell so perfectly the day after I was about to quit and ruin everybody's Christmas. Like I was about to quit and just mess everything up. And I got this whole day of rest and relaxation. I mean, it was a training day, but it was so easy. It was so interesting and smooth. Like, I really enjoyed it. And I saw God's love in how everything was orchestrated. And that was like, boom, boom, boom. Like, I could see it in everything after that. And after seeing God's love and God's hand in everything, I could see his love in me and really begin to love me and all the parts of me. And the parts of me extend to my children to the point where this past, I think November, or I'm not really sure the date, November or October, I'm not sure, that my youngest daughter was holding me in the store. She just came up and she hugged me, and we're standing in the store and we're just hugging each other. And she looks up at me and she's like, "Mommy, you're so much more loving and touchy now." And I just put my head on her head and we just held each other. But that would not have happened a year and a half ago. I'd have been like, "Oh, why you on me?
Yeah,
Why you
yeah.
touching me? Jeez, you want no friends?" Like,
Oh, okay, so that's humongous because it sounded like the journey was like, oh, she made a decision, it's not working out perfectly for her. But we used some tools because when we got together, I could barely touch. Hey, you walking the door, I'm like, hey girl, hug, and I could feel the ice. Not like you didn't like me. It's like, oh my God, she's touching me.
yes.
Literally. So how did you, so we had our first session. What's the first session? The
First session was Reiki.
Okay.
I maybe. I think.
Tell me about it, even if it wasn't, tell me about your experience. Had you ever had Reiki and what was your experience in that time and maybe what happened after that?
So no, I'd never had Reiki before.
Okay.
I'd never really heard of Reiki before. There was part of me that was like, yeah, energy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
And then I'm on the table, stiff like a cadaver, afraid to move, like not really afraid to move, just couldn't, just I'm holding it all in because God forbid I relax. I don't know what could happen if I relax. So I'm not going to do that. And I did the best that I could to relax. Um, and I didn't think a whole lot, but I could feel something. Sometimes maybe like a tingle, sometimes felt like gas moving through my body, which was definitely going to make me tense up. Don't do that. And I don't know if this was the first or the second, but it was very early on. There was a moment where I felt overwhelmed with emotion. And my eyes were closed. So I couldn't see you. I didn't know what you were doing. Um, but I think you said to me something like, why don't you just let go? Or something. What are you holding on to? Or something. I felt like my secrets had been snatched. And I was like, not holding on to anything. I had one little tear that came out of my eye, and I was like, get back in there.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's just so for real. This is was trying, and it was almost
yes. You better not. It better not get to my ear. You better not fall in my ear. Yeah. It was very intense for me to not cry. You were like, just let it go. I know it's something because I feel like I want to cry, right? And once you said that you could feel the tears or you felt like you wanted to cry, it was just like and it was I couldn't stop it from coming out, and that was too much. It's too much. Doing the most. Doing the most. And then we talked about that, and you were so loving and caring, and I was having none of that because you were trying to get me to understand that crying is not bad. It took many moons before I could understand that needless to say, I'm grateful that you did not give up because I was having none of that. There'll be no crying. We won't be doing that again. I'll come back, but put that in your books that there'll be no crying. Thank you.
no feeling,
No.
no unclenching of
No. The just to I was so constantly balled up. My hands, my feet, my muscles were always contracted. My shoulders were always tense. I was like a walking stroke, like just all the time. All the time. And any moment that I felt relaxed, not necessarily in sessions, but just in my everyday life, any moment that I felt relaxed, that was not okay. And so I was back. the the anxiety or the stress was more of a comfort than being relaxed.
interesting. Because I remember what that looked like in our conversation. Because there was constant change. Because on the journey, you don't always know how God will allow situations, people, places, and things to come up to meet the demand that you don't even know that's what he's doing. At the same time, did you ever feel unprotected? Like, although this feels scary, did you ever feel like,
No, I never felt unprotected. I never felt alone. I never and and even when there was so much going on and stuff that was like on me, my responsibility, I still never felt like I'm out on a limb by myself. Never. Mm-mm. Mhm.
What were some of the things that began to happen after you began to just kind of let go on the journey, learn to use tools, whatever tools that you use?
The outcome has been every area, everything has changed, everything has been affected. Um, so on the one hand, um, with energy clearing and having, let's say, those chakras open and functioning the way that they're supposed to, just going throughout my everyday life, um, things were actually better, like clearer. Um, the conversations that I would have at work, I felt like people were drawn to me, whether or not I wanted it. I, and I felt very much like, no, protect this new energy. King, king, ching, back off. Bad vibes. And there was a lot of that. And on the one hand, I felt really good that I hadn't really been feeling before, a new kind of peace, a new kind of calmness. But on the outside, things were swirling, and I feel like it is because of the change in me, the change in my energy and aura and everything spiritually all around me. So when I'm interacting with people or going throughout my day, there was a lot of stuff. Unhappy people don't like for you to be happy. Unhappy people that are bothered and want to gossip and want to be negative want you to be negative. And I was having none of that. Like it just, I don't want to know. I would excuse myself from conversations, from interactions, and then, and it's so crazy that I'm excusing myself from this negative, toxic environment that you all are creating, but I'm the bad guy because I don't want to gossip and talk about. Now you're looking at me side eye, like I can't be trusted. Like, so there were a lot of things that came up, but because I was getting help, like, yes, I could see things so differently from a different perspective.
Your
And
favorite word.
and I just realized, didn't realize all that in that moment. It's looking back that I can see how the stuff was coming up to show me, like, if I hear about that cup one more daggone time, but I just really, I could not understand that this stuff is in my cup, and anybody who is your client will understand this dumb cup.
It's the cup is just an exercise we use to determine what belongs to us and what belongs to others. And typically, we have more stuff in our cup that belongs to other people than
Mm-hmm.
belongs to us. And our job is to determine what's in the cup, let them deal with their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and we will deal with ours.
Yes.
I don't see the problem.
Well, I didn't see a problem with, oh, that's your stuff. I'm going to give that to you. But I found that very quickly, the stuff in my cup didn't belong to other people. It belonged to me. And that was too much.
Glorious. Another glorious journey.
In our journey. There was a lot. I mean,
There's
the
still a
journey
lot.
doesn't stop until you transition, and then that's a different journey. I see things so very differently now, so differently.
And I wanted to say something about it's not magical.
Hmm.
It's the power of God coming through this conduit. It is not me doing any kind of. You were working in an area of your body that had something to do with your emotions,
Hmm.
but that area also has to do with your digestive system.
Hmm.
Mhm.
There were lots of issues. Um, yeah, man, look at you. You better remember.
Not to bring up any personal thing that you don't want to bring up, but just to the correlation between what
Hmm.
really happens is not just a spiritual thing.
Right. No,
Body is
there
where
were
all of
physical things.
yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
there were physical things as well. Even pain in my lower back being relieved, and um, that is exactly that first Reiki. That first Reiki, I went home. I can't believe I'm saying this on the interview, but it's all good. It happens to everybody.
Yes.
I went home and I got up that next morning, and when I tell you the junk from 50,000 years that came out of my body, I felt so much relief and so much, I felt so free and so light. And I felt like I had the Iron Man light right there in my gut, like beaming out. Just,
Chakra area
hmm,
that affects your emotions emotionally and it
hmm,
affects your body physically. So you were able to emotionally release, then physically when you
hmm,
release that tension that you don't know you're holding on to. Remember, you said about your hands, your
hmm,
body physically was on lockdown.
hmm,
You, the love principle that we used or that you chose,
hmm,
began to allow you to relax your mental,
hmm,
your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual.
hmm. To the point where our last Reiki session, I was on the table snoring.
Right.
I was like, oh God, did I fall asleep? Yes, which is amazing
Yes.
to me.
And
Hmm.
how would you describe your anxiety level or your management of anxiety?
Management of anxiety. I would say that my skill level was novice. I was not managing um, anxiety, period. I had done some work prior to us getting together around depression, and I I knew I had come out of depression, but the anxiety, I could not even take deep breaths. And it was so frustrating to hear you say, just breathe. I am breathing. It's more like panting, gasping, breathing, not so much. I could not breathe. And it even sounded ridiculous to me for you to continue to tell me to breathe. I'm breathing. What else do you want me to do? Because I felt like I can't breathe and hold my stuff together and figure out my life. You want me to breathe like what do you right. You're doing the most. not gonna be able to do all of that. It felt so impossible.
Mm.
I was concerned that I was on the verge of a mental breakdown because the anxiety was so high. I could not think clearly. When it was happening, there were no rational thoughts. Maybe the only rational thought I could muster was call Renee or just send her a message, say like, I'm in the abyss. It would just be like, hey, good morning. And you would be like, my spidey senses. Let me call her. I have you on the phone.
Oh my God, it's we spend a lot of time on the phone.
Yes.
Spent a lot of time pulling back from certain things that
Mhm.
you don't know that is what it is. And just to have anybody to be able to say, hey, at that moment
Mhm.
is just enough to prevent you from jumping.
Yes.
And sometimes that's all you need. No judgment, just
Mhm.
here I am. And
Mhm.
I could feel that.
I could not sit still. I could not stop shaking. It was this past summer, towards the end of the summer, that I realized that I wasn't shaking anymore. My daughter and I were sitting on the porch outside, and her friend was over, and we're all just sitting there, and it felt like a mini earthquake. And I was like, what? What is that? She was simply just tapping her foot on the the porch, but we could all feel it.
Mhm.
And I realized that used to be me. I used to be the one that would have to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to stop," and then I'm still shaking. Nope, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get it together. I don't I don't have those nervous um, twitches and shaking and all of that anymore. But I've worked really hard.
Very hard.
I've done a lot of work.
You have been diligent, and that's what it requires because it comes to a point where you want to do something. You may not know what it is, but
Mhm.
just as Spirit encouraged you to request assistance with your classroom
Mhm.
on Amazon, and those unlikely moves we make are all part of journey that we take. There were tools that we used. So we used intuitive message, which included oracle cards
Mhm.
and stones and oils, essential oils and conversations and Reiki and even sound bowls and all of these things. How did that sit with you initially?
I was already in a place on my own where I was interested in stones. And oh, as a matter of fact, like this was my very first stone that I got. It's a chakra necklace. And so when you introduced the concept of Reiki to me, I was already familiar with the chakras and understanding that there are stones that will help to keep those energies flowing properly. So I was aware of that. I started getting my own stones just after we had done some things and you were sharing some things with me, and I was like, ooh, because I'm going into the abyss every day, going into work, and I done cleared out this energy. I need something to help protect me and to keep me flowing real good, and maybe even to help somebody else. Even in my classroom, I had like selenite, and I'm winding down the kids as they coming in the classroom. Get that off you. What you got? Not no more. And so I became that teacher, being able to meditate on my own and use the stones while I'm meditating. You did not introduce me to the oils, but you gave me the introduction to the oils. I don't know if that makes sense. I was already familiar. Didn't know enough or how to use them or anything. And using the oils on my hands, on my feet, and to smell got me through many days. Many days. Um, many days, especially at work. I remember sitting in my chair. I'm looking at the chair now, sitting in my chair, balled up, having a whole fit, thinking oh, maybe I just need to go to the psych ward because I'm crazy. I'm great. Like, it's something wrong with me. It's not okay. Like, I'm not okay. And you were like, yeah, no, you're not gonna be okay if you don't use the tools. But the psych ward, but use the tools. And I'm like, fine, I'll use the tools. I'm a collector of knowledge. I love beautiful knowledge, beautiful pieces of information, but putting it to use was not my thing. And I had so much knowledge that I can imagine how frustrating that would be as a coach. But you know what to do. I don't know what to do. But you do. Like, what have we done every single time? But I don't know. You do know. I don't know. And in my defense, I couldn't really know in that moment because of the anxiety. But if I could have done what I knew before the anxiety, then I wouldn't be at this place of I need to check myself in somewhere.
But that became part of the journey. Okay, so then how do I get in front of this? So it's not. It's a journey. I mean, yes. And that's why this conversation can go on because there's so many intricate parts about how God uses momentum. He allows you to think that you're going along this way for this reason, and you get there, and there's a decision that has to make, and you gain the tools along the road until that point of decision. And you get scared because it's like, but he's just like, didn't you just? I just showed you. Just get used to, and you get trusting self, loving self, because we did not just use that in the time span of 6 months and beyond. We did not just use that one principle or divine prescription. How did changing the prescription have its effects?
I didn't want to change by the end of love. I was very comfortable in love. And off the top of my head, I can't remember. Oh, yes, I do. It feels like it was so long ago. That was literally last year.
Right.
But I went from love to harmony. And I didn't like harmony much in the same way that I didn't like love. And I spent the first month not even knowing what to do with it. I wrote the word on my poster board and I found some definitions and I put that up there, and I had no idea what to do with it. Meanwhile, my everyday life was like, Goosh, 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 goosh. I'm so great. No, really, it's great. Why? Walking past this sign every day, like harmony. This is so dumb. Why would they want me to do this? And and by they I mean the collective spirit. No, and I'll never forget this one. We did a video conference, video call, and we did this video call. And I remember sitting there in the dining room and you were like, and I was like, and you kept saying things like, but like, I don't think that maybe you're not in the right frame of mind or the right mood or whatever. And I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah. It's not feeling at, well, I'm not exactly sure what you feel, but I feel fine. To the end of that conversation where there were like 5 minutes left in our time, and I can't remember what you said to me, but I broke all the like I didn't understand the ebbs and flows of life, which I needed the principle of harmony to help me understand the ebbs and flows of life. I truly, truly didn't I didn't feel like I was supposed to experience ebbs, the dips, the crap.
Mm-hmm. How dare? What?
How dare, like,
What?
I was literally offended at every ebb. How dare you? I'm clutching my pearls. Like, I cannot believe that this is happening. And it never really made sense that people would be like, I mean, well, everybody, I mean, this is life. Everybody has ebbs and flows. And I'm like, no. I just, do you know who I am? Like, I had been through this whole 3 months of love and loving myself and loving and love. How dare things start to come up against me?
Mm-hmm.
Did you not take this journey with me? But by the end of the harmony, of course, there was COVID. Seeing the ebbs and flows from a different perspective almost made it all like this. It, not that there weren't dips, not that there weren't things that happened, but I was more in harmony. Or I could feel I was still displaying love and feeling loved and being lovable in the dips, in the like, and so it was just a whole it was all of that. And then COVID. And I never really thought about it until this moment, but without harmony, my COVID time would have been quarantine. I think I may not have made it.
No, I get it.
Mhm.
Because all things work together.
Yes,
They just do.
they just do.
It's when I understand the connection between God and I'm clearing out everything. A part of the clearing of the cup, determine what's in the cup, is really me gaining wings and creating boundaries.
Not
fun.
I didn't
That's-
have boundaries.
Most of us do not. We don't realize it because our lives in the cup is based on other people's stuff, and that's what we manage. We have no concept of the things that we have cut ourselves off from.
Mhm.
And that's what the journey is about, the discovery of self,
Mhm.
what you might have been like, discovering that, oh my God, I'm not that, or I can be better. And then you open up like a lotus flower, knowing that you have these capacities, you have this strength, and even in the ebbs, you know they exist, but you have such tools, you know who you belong to,
Mhm.
and you've accomplished what I believe is divine relationships
Mhm.
that supersede any ebb and accentuates every flow, but it's all a part of that journey.
Mhm.
Is what would you suggest to individuals who are listening today?
Get started. You don't have to know anything.
Mhm.
You just have to make the decision that you want to be better. You want to do better. I want something different. I Something has to change. You just have to make that decision that something has to change. And you don't even really have to be specific about what that something is because my God. But shoot, if you can be specific because if you just say something's got to change, oh my God.
Malachite will help you.
Don't do that. Don't do that to people. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
No,
that. Malachite is on another level.
can you really explain how these things work to people? Or I tried to
No.
explain to you as much as I could what to expect and how these things work,
Let me just comment on the malachite.
which is a stone, a
It's a
gemstone.
stone. Okay. So I remember we had just finished a Reiki session, and I'm not even sure. You may have been bragging about your stones and your malachite. It was so nice. Anyway, so I wanted to see it. And you were telling me all the warnings. We read all in the book and never seen a stone that came with a warning. And I am one of those push the envelope kind of people, like warning might crack. And that's like, whatever. And so I'm looking at the stone, I'm reading up on it. I'm like, ooh, transformation. Okay, whatever. And I didn't do anything else with it. I didn't think anything else about it. And then one day, I'm just kind of, or I may have been on social media and it may have come up, right? Just somebody talking about malachite, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, malachite. And then I thought, oh, well, let me look up some more information about it. And I'm on YouTube and I'm watching all these videos of all the people that are like, malachite changed my life. And I'm like, no, like it changed everything in my life. And I'm like, okay, you can't even really get malachite. It's got a call to you. And I'm like, okay. And what I didn't realize in that moment was that it was calling. It was truly seeking me. And I just was, okay. I went to the store that I like to go to get stones, and I was looking for malachite because at this point I'd watched enough videos and whatever. No, let me just be completely transparent. Let me just be completely transparent. It's summertime, the sun is out, I'm feeling really good. Um, Things with my kids are going well, like everything is going well. Everything is going well. There's money in the bank. There's all. So I'm going in and I'm feeling myself. So yes, I'm looking for malachite. So I go in, I'm looking, and I don't see it. And the the worker's like, "Hey, can I help you with anything?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking for malachite." And they pull out this big bag from behind the counter, and they're like, "Oh, we just got this in. We haven't even opened it. and they open it up and they let me choose my stone. So I'm like, this is this is a lot. I wasn't prepared. Choose my stone, and I'm like, one with this stone. I did maybe a couple meditations just holding the stone. Let me maybe clarify for the people in the back. Um, I don't worship a stone. I'm not praying to a stone. I am just simply holding the stone and feeling its energy. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't feel the energy. I just trust and believe if it came from the earth that it's filled with lots of earth energy, and that's it, right? Meditating with malachite and the events that happened next, I could not have fathomed, planned like it. My air conditioning unit died in the summer in the middle of the heat wave where it was 100 degrees every day. And it took them 2 weeks to fix the AC. And so I'm hot, but not just hot, I'm hot with all my kids, which that had not happened because I was very free up until COVID. And even when we were quarantined, I still had quite a bit of freedom because I saw them for a week and then off for a week. The AC goes out. My ex-husband decides, oh, I'm moving. Okay, that's great. Good for you. To another state. Can I get a heads up? I'm like, what? Like that came out the blue. Um, and I'm taking the kids. Wait, what? And the oldest one is gonna come live with you forever. And people that I knew in the family were dying. Like I just talked to you and now you're dead. And relationships that I thought were going to be like forever relationships, not necessarily romantic relationships, but friendships, all of that stuff was like, you know, I was devastated in a way, but not touched in a lot of ways. Like, I know that that doesn't make sense, but there was so much comfort in knowing that, okay, I'm good. I'm okay. This is a lot. It was there was lot, so but much. But I never felt like I'm alone. It didn't. There were a lot of tears. Looking back, it felt very much like some things were on autopilot because I had worked on love. I had worked through harmony and the ebbs and flows. So, okay, I just felt so much chaos happening all around, so many things. But I kind of felt like I was in a snow globe, seeing it like, ooh, ooh, he almost got me. Ooh, good thing this thing don't crack. I felt very comforted and protected. And that doesn't mean that I that, that I didn't cry or didn't feel pain or didn't feel hurt or disappointment. I felt all of those things, but it didn't kill me and it didn't destroy me and it just
Take you off your square.
it didn't. I could never have predicted or foreseen or any of the things that happened and continued to happen for a long time until Malachite released me. Oh, because I tried to let it go. Anybody else, like you just really have to have your own experience. It wouldn't let me let it go, like, until it was time. The whole time that stuff was happening, I felt the comfort of it, although I did try to hide it.
Literally.
Literally, I tried to hide it, and I tried to put it under other stuff.
Like God knows. What a bless her heart. Oh,
And it really felt like that, like, oh, you tried, come get me. Yeah.
that is the beauty of the journey.
Mhm.
And the beauty of, as you said, these are just tools because God gives us all of this inside,
Mhm.
but there are tools that are we can use to help us get through difficult times that you can't even begin to explain how it comes together.
Mhm.
But somehow, and this is what I have seen in you, that your foundational beliefs, you have created what works for you. You've taken all of these things,
Mhm.
you have mixed them up, you have gone through all that you, not everything, but
Mhm.
up until this point, to the point where you and you
Mhm.
know who. Doesn't mean that we're not going to cry and we're going to have good days, we're not going to have not so good days. But in those times, that you are totally supported and always has the answer. We use the tool of, oh, the lanes. Which lane are you in? For
I got mine up right now. Like, literally,
I use it all the time.
I have it every day in my bedroom up right now. It's right over there. And I had to draw it because if you sent me that daggone lane one more time, if you sent me a picture of that daggone my lane, God's lane, one more time, I was gonna snap. It was so hard.
Oh,
That was the beginning of the how to ease some anxiety. That was the beginning because I realized that anxiety only comes from me trying to control something that I have no control over, or it's so far in the future it has no relevance in this present moment, or it's something from the past that, okay, we've already done that, move on, but I'm still trying to bring it up, right? And once I could understand that that is the source of the anxiety, then it's like, oh, well, get in your lane. Of course, I ain't want to say to myself, get in my lane, because you have been saying that and I ain't like it, so whatever. But get in your lane. And being in my lane, take my yoke upon you because my burden is light. Like, yo, yes, yes, let me stay right here in my lane and be appreciative and see whatever is coming up through love and keep moving forward, staying in my lane because I don't have to worry about who, when, how.
mhm.
How is too much. That's too much.
When
When, that's too much. When you're ready, when you're ready. I'm ready now.
precious.
You're right. You tried it. No, but that like literally is right in my room. I keep it up because I need the constant reminder because there was a time that I was swerving that line like a drunk circus monkey on a tightrope. Like I was
And loving it. This is fun.
Yes, and then wondering like, why am I so anxious? Why can't I relax? I mean, who can relax when the oncoming traffic, when you're going the wrong way in oncoming traffic? That's not the time to relax. So get in your lane so that you can do that.
That's
Too
amazing.
much coming at you that you're not equipped to deal with in that's God's lane. Boo. God, like not just like, oh, that's Renee's lane. No, it's like God's lane.
Oh God. You have a Mirror You membership, which gives you the
Mhm.
opportunity to utilize services whenever you need them. And it is
Mhm.
my desire that whenever you are not with me or any client is not with me, wow, you can thrive
Thrive. Hmm.
and then create from that something that now you give to other people. Has that happened for you?
I share a lot, and I have seen tremendous difference in my circle. Um, those who have remained, I see them like in our conversations. It's like, well, maybe I can see this from another perspective. Or, girl, I'm not even going to worry about it. I can't handle that anyway. I'm going to just stay in my lane. Me too. Me too. Me too. Or what were those oils that you were using? Or mommy, are we gonna do the oils today and say our affirmations? Yup, sure are. Can we go meditate? Yup, we sure can. It is all around me. It's all around me. It because I can fill my cup up with the good stuff and all the others, all the good stuff spills over and other people
So
get it
would
now.
you suggest Mirror You wellness services to individuals who are on their journey?
Yes. Yes. Like, yes. Mirror You wellness, it's about wellness and wholeness, and it's all encompassing, and it's so much more than, so tell me about your day. No, it's don't hesitate, don't think too long about it, don't find a reason to talk yourself out of, because people will be like, oh, I've been to therapy. Me too. Had lots of therapy. Everybody should have therapy,
Absolutely.
but absolutely get on it, get started with all of it. Every tool, every service that's offered, it's amazing. It's life changing if you want it to be, if you allow it, because that's with any service, any diet. All the fad diets, they do work, all of them. You got to do it. You got to do the work. You got to put in the work. And the work is not hard. It's just not easy. Mhm.
Different.
Yes.
And in a yielded state,
Hmm.
it's almost when you look back, you were carried pretty much the entire
Hmm.
time till it's time to sit down and you look back and you're like,
Yes.
the
Yes.
scripture says, they that worship him in spirit
Hmm.
and in truth. And in spirit, we find truth, and truth ain't always easy, but it's the freedom
Hmm.
that you cannot imagine. Even when you don't have everything that you desire
Yes.
physically, the
Hmm.
freedom is so unfathomable that only your journey and going through this journey can ever explain it. So I appreciate you and I applaud you for your journey. And I just think that what you have said today will be a blessing to so many people the best actress that I have to help me with my business, because you are the person in the videos with the I'm good, along with your daughter, growing up to be even bigger and better than we can even imagine. So we will be looking for you on the screen, to be a coach, to be a painter, because you start to paint and have beautiful pieces. So thank you so much for your time. Mwah, I love you.
Yay! I love you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And this ends our conversation with Andrea about her wellness journey. And we look forward to you contacting Mirror You Wellness so that you can begin your journey and see where God takes you. Don't forget to be balanced, be inspired, and continue to grow. Mirror You.